So this week we're comparing the Peak water filter jug with third wave water to figure out which water for homebrewing suits us the best. Welcome, my name is Patrick Rolfe and this is Coffee with April. For this episode, we're going to do something that we've been talking about for quite some time, and we're going to follow up on last week's video. We're going to test waters. More specifically, we're going to try two different waters. On one side is the third wave mineral capsule. On the other side, it's the Peak water filtration system. So these two are slightly different, and we're just going to walk you through what makes them different. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do a simple blind cupping using 3 of our filter coffees, 2 bowls of each coffee. Each coffee has a different water, and then we're going to see what the consensus is, which one is the better, Peak or third wave. Now, for those of you that don't know, the third wave water is a mineral capsule that you mix into distilled water. Now, this is how we've been brewing coffee for quite some time, and how I've been brewing coffee at home here in Copenhagen as well. Now, they have some recommended recipes. I should say for the record, our recipe is a bit different. We use 1 capsule to 5 liters of water, and that gives us a TDS reading of basically 140 total ppm. We've been able to brew some great coffees with this in the past. Now, the Peak water filtration system is interesting because rather than using distilled water and adding minerals, what we do is that we're basically filtrating the water that we already have. So you take the original water source in your city and you're filtrating it. We put that on setting number 5, and what we get out is roughly 70 ppm when it comes to this reading. Now, they're very interesting because they're 2 fundamentally different ways to make water. One, taking empty water, adding minerals, and the other one basically taking normal water and stripping it down. And we're gonna taste and see what actually suits us the best from a taste perspective. So as mentioned here, we basically have 3 different coffees. We have a natural processed Typica, we have a yellow honey processed Katura, and we have a wash processed SL28 and SL34 from Kenya. We thought it interesting to try these water, not just blind with the same coffee, but also see if there's a difference between the preference in between different coffees. We're gonna have a quick little look here, just kind of comparing both of the cups without knowing which cup is actually which here. I'm gonna give you some actual details about the coffees. So the first set that we have here is a natural Typica lot from Ecuador, which we've been working with for quite some time, so we're very familiar with this coffee. What happens here is that the first cup just has a lot more taste structure in it. So you have a lot of different flavor notes. It's very floral, it's very nougaty, but you also have this really nice kind of citrusy qualities to the coffee as well. That's with the first cup. The second cup here is actually a bit muted, so I don't get as much expression through the cup. The kind of slightly floral citrusy notes I get in cup 1 doesn't show in cup 2. So the cup 1 is just a bit more complex overall, which I tend to prefer. The second set here is a Kenyan set, which are our new kind of Kenyan coffee, Nia Vera. And the Kenyan coffees are interesting because especially this one is very expressive. You have a lot of notes in it, a lot of bold flavor notes, a lot of blackcurrant, a lot of citrus, and some floral qualities as well. And this is for me, for sure, like one of the hardest sets because I think both taste quite well. I think what's happening with the first cup is that it becomes a lot more acidic than the second cup. And when you have a Kenyan coffee with so much inherent acidity, you don't necessarily need to add additional acidity to the cup. So I find the second cup to be a bit more balanced and a bit better structured, and you still have this amazing kind of Kenyan-like acidity going through all the way. Both are still very light and vibrant coffees, but again, I tend to look for balanced coffees more than I look at coffees where a single attribute stands out maybe a bit too much. Now the last set is the Caturra from our partner farm in Volcan Azul, one of the farms we've been working with the longest, so we know these coffees very well. And again, they come out very, very similar. And I should say that for all the coffees here, that it's really not a choice between a good and a bad water. They're both very good. It's just a matter of kind of finding the best version of it. What's happening here, which is kind of interesting, is that you have a lot of these kind of melon, stone fruit characters, a lot of nougat, a lot of brown sugar as well, which is very characteristic for the Volcan Azul farm. And I find that really cool. Honestly, both cups are really good. This is by far the hardest decision within the setting. I think the cup that I'm going for more has a bit more juiciness to it. It's more about a mouthfeel and a structure than an individual flavor component. But I should say that both waters are actually doing extremely well on this coffee specifically. So what we're going to do here is that I'm tasting them, and then I'm going to just basically, the one I preferred of each shed, I'm going to pull that towards me. And then we're going to look underneath. And what we have here is that the marked cups is peak water, and the unmarked cups is not peak water, meaning third wave in this case. Now, tasting the coffees is quite interesting because I find both on the natural Typica and the Kenya that I quite directly kind of gravitates towards one of the bowls in the sets. But when I come to the Caturra, I feel there's a really good version of both here, right? So it's interesting where I can't really taste that much negative things in any of the bowls, right? As in, they're all actually tasting great. Obviously, some preferences here, right? And it's going to be really interesting to see if the preference is consistent or if the preference is actually different depending on which coffee it is. So we're going to basically look underneath and see what we have. So on the first bowl here, we have a mark. So that's basically 1 for peak, 0 for third wave water so far. In the second set here, we don't have a mark. So that's actually 1 for third wave water. And on the third one, and to see which one is the winner here, we don't have a mark. So that's actually 2 for third wave and 1 for peak. And I'm going to actually say that I think the reason for this is because what I found when I'm brewing is that the peak brings out quite a lot of acidity in a lot of the coffees, but sometimes lack the complexity and the kind of overall structure in the coffees. So again, peak makes a great cup of coffee. We definitely recommend it, and it's something we're going to keep on working with. The third wave water we've been working with for 3+ years now in Copenhagen. We even, as we mentioned before, figured out our own recipe. So we have that down to the teeth, actually knowing what we prefer there. So we're going to keep on evaluating the peak. As always, look in our Patreon to see the kind of behind the scenes details of everything that we do, which is really interesting for those that want a bit more content and a bit more understanding for what's actually going on here behind the scenes, and also to get exclusive content. With that, we're going to wrap this up. I'm sure we're going to do a lot more videos about brewing water and brewing at home lately as well. But for this is what we want to pitch. We basically did a simple cupping, had 3 different coffees, and we figured out that we actually prefer third wave water in this specific cupping. And we were super excited to hear what you guys think about the two. I'm sure you guys have both the peak and the third wave. Let us know in the comments below, and if you have any thoughts or any other waters we should try, then please let us know. And as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching, and a special thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. These are the people that allow us to do what we do best and give you continuous content. If you want to be one of our supporters, please follow the link in the video. Thank you again for your support.